Commission. This is the January 24, 2025 brief adjudicative proceeding calendar. I see several people here. Can you identify either Colin or Jordan where they are on the calendar, and maybe we can take them out of order and get them on their way?
Yeah, Heather Harris we knew about, and then
Okay, let's take Ms. Harris's case first then.
okay, and then we'll do Maryanne Murray because she's next on it, and then Mark Thomas Lazar would be third in terms of the order that we have them in on the case list.
All right, well, let's get started with Ms. Harris's case. Let me have you raise your right hand.
One second, I have a little introduction.
Go ahead.
All right. So today's brief adjudicated proceeding concerns 2025 candidates whom PDC staff allege have violated RCW 42.17a.205 and RCW 42.17a.700 for failing to file or timely file a candidate registration C1 and personal financial affairs statement F1 or both that were due to be filed with the PDC within 2 weeks of candidacy or by no later than May 23rd, 2025. On May 28, 2025, PDC staff emailed hearing notices to candidates regarding their missing reports for election year 2025, including the option to resolve their case by submitting the missing reports online and mailing or emailing a signed statement of understanding and a $100 civil penalty for each late report to the PDC no later than June 16, 2025. We have a resolved cases report for these folks. It's on page 7, I believe, of the case list today. One note, we do have a little bit of a wrinkle today in that the opportunity for a statement of termination goes until June 30th. So it's possible that folks who have a ruling against them terminate their candidacy. So we were thinking maybe just something in your ruling, that it's on the condition, or the order would be void if they terminate.
I think I know how to do that.
Okay.
All right.
Other than that, just two little notes. We had a couple people fall off the list. Angela Gardner and Hector Miguel Valencia have both been moved to the closed administratively section. So if you don't hear them get called out, that's why.
Okay, well, let me have both Colin Peoples and Jordan Campbell raise their right hands. Do each of you affirm?
And Shelley.
Shelley, there she is, Shelley Warnock as well. Each of you raise your right hand. Do each of you affirm under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of Washington that all testimony you give in these proceedings shall be the truth?
I do.
I do.
All right, let's start with the case of Heather Harris, case number 173041.
All right, thank you, Chair Leach. As you said, this is PDC case 173041 against Heather Harris. PDC staff is alleging that Heather Harris violated 42.17a.205 and .700 for failing to timely file the personal financial affairs statement form F1 and the candidate registration PDC form C1. The C1 and F1 reports were due to be filed with the PDC within 2 weeks of the candidate declaring their candidacy with the appropriate elections office or otherwise becoming a candidate. In 2025, the candidate C1 and F1 reports were due to be filed no later than May 23rd, 2025. The respondent has filed both C1 and F1 reports before today's hearing.
Thank you. Ms. Harris, if you'll unmute your microphone, I'll place you under oath, and then you can tell me what you want to say. You want to raise your right hand? Do you affirm under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of Washington that all testimony you give in this proceeding shall be the truth?
I do.
Okay, go ahead and tell me what you have to say in response to the complaint.
So I was unaware of the emails that I was receiving from PDC because I work for Boys and Girls Clubs. And when I filed as a candidate, I used my email, my work email. And we have Sophos, which filters out any, I guess, bulk or spam looking emails. And I was unaware that they were going to our Sophos until I received the one saying I was in violation, which came through, I assume, because when I looked at Sophos, the other ones got flagged as bulk. And I was completely unaware. I was asked by our school district to be on the board, or, to go to be a candidate for the board position. And this is my first time doing anything. I honestly didn't have a clue that there was a second part to this with the PDC. And so I did call as soon as I received that email, spoke with a gentleman who was very kind about, saying, get the things done and attend the hearing and see what we can do.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to find that there is a violation of the failure to file the required forms. The standard recommended penalty is $150. I'm going to impose that, but suspend $50 of it if you pay the $100 within 30 days of the date of the entry of my order, and have no further filing violations during the next 4 years.
Okay.
Do you have any
Charlie,
questions?
It's 150 per report.
Okay, I'm going to pose a combined penalty of $150. So you're getting a bigger break than it sounded like. It should be 300. I'm imposing 150 and suspending 50. Do you have any questions, Ms. Harris?
I don't believe so. I just need to make sure that how do I go about?
The staff will get a hold of you and help you get things taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And in the future, I would suggest you not use an employer email, because we've had a number of instances where there are filters people didn't know about and they don't get information, and it could be important to your race.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case is that of Maryanne Murray, there we go. Case number 173072. And Jordan, this is one of your cases.
Yeah, I'll take care of it. So this is going to be case 173072. Maryanne C. Murray, a candidate for school director of Ocean Beach School District 101. Staff is alleging that this respondent violated RCW 42.17a.205 and RCW 42.17a.700 for failing to timely file the personal financial affairs statement and the candidate registration C1, which were both due to be filed within 2 weeks of becoming a candidate or by May 23rd. Both the reports have been filed as the date of today's hearing. They have no priors, and they are participating. Staff recommends you find a violation of RCW 42.17a.700 and RCW 42.17a.205 against the respondent for failing to timely file the C1 and F1 reports, and assess an appropriate penalty in accordance with WAC 390.37.143 for a filer with no prior violations who filed the reports prior to today's hearing. The recommended penalty for that would be 150 per report.
For a total of 300.
Correct.
All right. Ms. Murray, would you unmute your microphone and raise your right hand? Do you affirm under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of Washington that all testimony you give in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Would you please go ahead and tell me what you have to say in response to the complaint?
Thank you. So as to the initial deadline, I read the requirement that a financial document had to be filed if there were fewer than 5,000 people voting for the position. And since I was filing for position 4 in Ilwaco, I thought that meant just the people in Ilwaco rather than the entire county. So that has to do simply with the financial disclosure. When I realized I needed to file these things after that deadline. I was out of town and did not have my checkbook with me. My husband was not available to be able to do the financial report right away, which I didn't have all of the necessary information. I returned to Ilwaco on Sunday, the 15th of June, immediately went home and printed the documents, wrote the check, and went directly to the post office in downtown Ilwaco, where I placed the envelope containing the, let's see what document.
An F1 and a C1?
No, I filed those online. It was
Oh, the memorandum of understanding.
Yes, so I printed that, signed it, wrote my check, and put it in the mail slot in the lobby. Because I know that the mail goes out early every morning. Well, it turns out the truck arrived at 4:30 on Monday, the 16th. The post office staff did not have time to empty the bin to get it onto the truck. And so my check and my statement of understanding did not go out until Tuesday, the 17th. I made every reasonable effort except going to the post office Monday morning and asking them to hand cancel that. So our mail goes to Portland for sorting, and it takes 5 days to get any document anywhere is sent through the US mail these days. I spoke with the postmaster this morning, who verified that this is what occurred, and he is preparing a letter stating that my assessment of this is correct.
All right. Jordan, do we still have the check and signed memorandum?
Let me check. Depending when we got it, it would have been sent back.
All right.
It is being prepared to send back. I don't know if it actually is in the mail. I can check on that, but it was postmarked the 17th, so it was just barely late. So,
okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do, Ms. Murray. I'm going to extend the time for you to accept that memorandum of understanding to July 15th. Our staff will check and see if it's still at the PDC. If it is, they'll negotiate your check and accept that. If it has been mailed back to you, we'll need to have you return it back to us and get it to us before July 15th. And we still like to receive the letter from the postmaster, but I'm not making that a condition of my order.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Ms.
Thank
Murray,
you.
it does appear that the check went out yesterday in the post, so you might be receiving it in the next couple of days.
I might be receiving it next week.
Okay.
When you get it, have them take it back and have them hand stamp it.
Okay, thank you.
And good luck in your efforts to get elected.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Who has Mr. Lazar's case? Don't all jump in at once.
I believe that's on Colin's list.
I'll
Colin.
take it and I'll dismiss it.
Oh, well, Mr. Lazar, this is going to get very easy for you. Staff is moving to dismiss the case against you.
Oh.
If you want to unmute your microphone, you can ask.
That was Mr. Lazar who said that.
Oh, that wasn't Mr. Peoples. Okay. Then,
yeah.
Mr. Lazar, would you mute your microphone till I ask you to speak?
All right.
And
I am ready.
go ahead.
This is PDC case 173070 against Mark Thomas Lazaro. Staff is alleging that the respondent violated 4217A, 205, and 700 by failing to file the personal financial affairs statement, PDC form F1, and the candidate registration PDC form C1. The C1 and F1 report were due to be filed with the PDC within 2 weeks of the candidate declaring their candidacy with the appropriate elections office or otherwise becoming a candidate in 2025. The candidate C1 and F1 reports were due to be filed no later than May 23rd, 2025.
Mr. Lazar, would you now unmute your microphone and raise your right hand? Do you affirm under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of Washington that all testimony you give in this proceeding shall be the truth?
I do.
Please tell me what you have to say in response to the complaint.
I did not fill out the financial forms. That is correct. It was just an oversight, but there is no money.
It doesn't matter if there's no money, you're still required to file that form as a condition of being a candidate or a holder of an office in the state of Washington by statute. You can't opt out of that.
So can I fill that out now?
You can fill it out now. Did you file a C1?
I did not file anything. I did this all from my phone as far as getting on the ballot.
Okay, and can you tell me why you didn't file the C1?
I did not know it was required.
All right. Do you have anything else to say?
I don't think so.
All right, I'm going to find a violation of, as alleged, of failure to file both the C1 and F1. I'm going to impose a penalty of $250. I'm going to suspend 125 of that, provided that both forms are filed and complete within 30 days of the date of my order, and there are no other violations within the next 4 years. Do you have any questions, Mr. Lazar?
Yes. What happens if those requirements are not met?
Then you will owe the State of Washington Public Disclosure Commission $250. If you don't pay it, collection efforts may be taken to collect it.
Are you going to email me the documents and whatnot that I need to take care of this?
The documents are available online at the PDC website. You can fill them out online and complete them online. We don't do paper forms anymore.
Right.
Do you have any other questions?
Yes. Can I get a transcript of this and exactly what I need to do and when I need to do it in the email?
You're going to get a written order that tells you what you need to do and when you need to do it, and you'll have 30 days from that being issued to do it.
That's going to come in the mail?
I'm not sure how that's delivered to you. I'll ask. Staff, how do we deliver that order?
It'll come via email.
By email. If you don't have it within a week, I suggest you call the PDC and let them know you haven't received it.
Can do.
The order will be issued within 30 days of the hearing.
Okay. But Mr. Jordan is the no, he isn't. Mr. Peoples is the individual handling your case.
Correct.
And you can contact him if you have questions about what you need to do to comply with the order.
Yes, I will be doing that. I see him on screen.
Yeah, and we've been emailing you
way?
with directions and instructions to file both of those reports since the middle part of May.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you. And you're welcome to watch the rest of hearings, Mr. Lazar, but you're not required to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Our next case then will be the Eric Klein case, 173037.
Correct. Thank you, Chair Leach. This is PDC case 173037 against Eric Klein. Staff is alleging that the respondent violated 4217A, 205, and 700 for failing to timely file the personal financial affairs statement, PDC Form F1, and the candidate registration, PDC Form C1. The C1 and F1 reports were due to be filed with the PDC within 2 weeks of the candidate declaring their candidacy with the appropriate elections office or otherwise becoming a candidate. In 2025, the candidate C1 and F1 reports were due to be filed no later than May 23rd, 2025. The respondent was supposed to attend the hearing, but so far is not here. Staff recommends that you find a violation of RCW 4217A 205 and 700 against the respondent for failing to timely file the C1 and F1 reports and assess an appropriate penalty in accordance with WAC 390-37-143 for a filer with no previous violations who failed to file the C1 and F reports or failed to timely file the C1 and F reports by the date of the hearing. The base penalty and amount for this violation is $150 per report.
Thank you. I am going to find 2 violations as alleged for failure to file the C1 and F1 reports timely. I'm going to impose a penalty of $300. I will suspend $100 of that on the conditions that the $200 is paid within 30 days of the date of the issuance of the order, and that there be no further violations in the next 4 years.
Chair Leach, how do you want to
Yes.
handle the situation if this person files a termination statement between now
Okay,
and the
let's
30th?
put a proviso in each order that the order shall be void in the event that the candidate files whatever the name of the withdrawal document is within the time provided by statute.
It would be provided by PDC policy.
Okay, PDC policy. Sorry,
Yeah, that's okay. Thanks.
haven't had this one before.
Yeah. We don't usually get to hearing this quickly.
Okay. The next group of cases is Jordan's candidates who filed C1 and F1 reports before the hearing but were not timely. Do you want to do those all together, Jordan?
Yes, sir. All right, so these are going to be PDC case 173067, Lisa Miller, 173043, Jacques Berkazi, 173075, Mia Jacobson, 173045, James Stewart, 173065, Lauren Glavin, 173093, Sheena Williams, 173104, Tyler Chase, 173090, Satnam Singh Bath. These respondents are all being, staff is alleging that these respondents violate RCW 42.17a.205 and RCW 42.17a.700 for failing to timely file the personal financial affairs statement and the candidate registration, which were both due within 2 weeks of becoming a candidate or by May 23rd, 2025. These respondents have filed their reports prior to the date's hearing, and none of them are in attendance today. Staff recommends you find a violation of RCW 42.17a.205 and RCW 42.17a.700 against these respondents for failing to timely file the C1 and F1 reports and assess an appropriate penalty in accordance with WAC 390-37-143 for a filer with no prior violations who failed to timely file the C1 and F1 reports by the date's hearing. The recommended base penalty for that is $150 per report, $300 total.
I'm going to find a violation in each of the cases that you have listed for failure to file both the C1 and the F1 timely. I'm going to impose a penalty in each case of $300 and suspend $100 on the condition that the $200 is paid within 30 days of the date of the entry of the order and that there are no further violations in the next 4 years. And a proviso that if they withdraw, the order is void, as I described.
Thank you.
You have any questions?
Nope.
Okay. The next set, let's see, Shelley, it looks to me like you have one case. It's a person who failed to file an F1 who filed an F1, excuse me, failed to file a C1. Is that correct?
There's two of them, sir.
Well, the other one, okay, I see. It's a page break.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's take those two cases.
Okay, you bet. Thank you, sir. This case is 173018 for Eddie Kennedy, and the next one is 173091 for Sean Rogers. Staff believe that they have violated RCW 4217A 205, failing to file, and then 0.700 by failing to timely file the candidacy registration for the C1 form and then the financial form for F1 clarifying. So both of the C1 and the F1 reports are due to be filed with the PDC within 2 weeks of the candidacy declaring their candidacy with the appropriate elections office or otherwise becoming a candidate no later than May 23rd. Both are missing the F1 report. Oh, excuse me, both of them have filed the F1 report but are missing the C1 report. And as of today, they have not filed as for the hearing. There are no priors to either one of these. And the staff is recommending that the violation of the RCW 4217A 205 and 0.700 against both candidates are failing to file the C1 and failing to timely file the F1 reports and assess the appropriate penalties in accordance with a WAC of 390.37.143 for the filer with no prior violations who had filed the F1 but failed to file the C1 reports by the date of the hearing. And then the base of the penalties of these violations are $150 for the late report and $250 for the report that was not filed, a total of $400.
Thank you. I'm going to find that in each of these two cases, the violations that have been alleged have been established. The failure to timely file the F1 and the failure to file the C1. In each case, I'm going to impose a penalty of $400, and I am going to suspend $150 upon the condition that the missing report is filed within the 30 days of the date of the issuance of the order, and that the fine is paid as well, and that there be no violations, further violations for the next 4 years. And include, please, the proviso about withdrawal if they withdraw timely.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Oh, but I'm up next again.
I see that. Let's see. This is candidates who filed a C1 but didn't file an F1.
A little opposite of the last one.
Okay, just the flip-flop.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so on the PDC case of the 173058 for a Jordan Lori, and then for 173077 for a Mick Sager, have violated the 4217A 205 for failing to timely file, and then 0.700 by failing to file, which is the candidacy registration C form and the personal financial statement form, the F1 form. Both the C1 and the F1s are due to be filed with the PDC within the 2 weeks of declaring candidacy and also becoming a candidate by May 23rd. Both have filed their F1 report as the hearing of today, but they have they have filed the C1 report. I knew I was going to do that backwards, both of them. However, both of them have failed to file the F1 report as of today's hearing. There's no prior violations to either one of the candidates, and staff recommend to find a violation of RCW 4217A 205 and 0.700 against both candidates for failing to timely file the C1 and failing to file the F1 reports, and they assess the appropriate penalties accordance with the WAC of 390-37-143 for the filer, no prior violations, but who have filed the C1 but failed to file the F1 reports. And the base of the penalties amount of these violations are $150 for their late report and $250 for the report that was not filed, a total of $400, sir.
Thank you. I'm going to find that violations have been established in the two cases as alleged for failure to file a timely C1 and failure to file an F1 before today's hearing. In each case, I'm going to impose a penalty of $400. I'm going to suspend $150 upon the condition that the fine is paid within 30 days of the issuance of my order, that the missing F1 is filed within that same 30-day period, and there be no further violations within the next 4 years. And that same proviso about withdrawal.
Okay,
Any-
perfect.
Any questions?
Nope, but the next
Oh.
person up is Colin to represent. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Colin, you have a long list here.
I have a long list. Let's see if I can do it in one breath. I've been practicing. Okay.
All right.
These are PDC cases 173019, Andy Hammer, 173021, Anthony Tony Ginn, 173022, Ash Black, 173023, Barbara Alfond, 173025, Cam Stevens, 173030, John Couture, 173033, Danielle Schuster, 173034, Derek Thompson, 173035, Dirk Dieringer, 173036, Disty Bosch, 173040, Hattie Stigum Larnov, 173047, Jeff Curry, 173048, Jennifer Dow, 173052, Jim Tinsley, 173054, John Lockhart, 173056, John Schindler, 173057, Jordan Lee, 173059, Jose Gutierrez, 173060, Kelly M. Fox, 173061, Carrie Bro, 173062, Kurti Sondi, 173064, Kyle Strangholt, 173066, Levi Lyon, 173071, Marth Logan, 173076, Michael Ray Mullen, 173080, Cassandra D. Pearson, 173081, Ray Mostrucker, 173086, Ron Willis, 173087, Roselyn P. McCarter, 173088, Sally Turner, 173096, Stefan Maxfield, 173097, Tammy Lanseri, 173099, Terry Hargreaves, 173107, Mark Wolrab, and finally 173425, Justin Boyd. Staff is alleging that these respondents violated 4217A, 205, and 700 for failing to file the personal financial affairs statement, PDC Form F1, and the candidate registration, PDC Form C1. The C1 and F reports were due to be filed with the PDC within 2 weeks of the candidates declaring their candidacies with the appropriate elections office or otherwise becoming a candidate. In 2025, the candidate C1 and F1 reports were due to be filed no later than May 23rd, 2025. The respondents failed to file the missing C1 and F1 reports by today's hearing. The respondents have no previous violations with the PDC, nor did they respond to this hearing notice or provide any information to PDC staff. Staff recommends that you find a violation of RCW 4217A, 205, and 700 against these respondents for failing to file the C1 and F1 reports and assess an appropriate penalty in accordance with WAC 390-37-143 for a file with no previous violations who failed to file the C1 and F1 reports by the date of the hearing. The base penalty amount for these violations is recommended to be $250 per report.
Thank you. I'm going to find a violation in each of the cases you have identified as alleged for failure to file a C1 and failure to file an F1 before the date of today's hearing. In each case, I'm going to impose a penalty of $500. I'm going to suspend $200 of that fine on the condition that both missing reports are filed within 30 days of the date of our order, that the unsuspended portion of the fine is paid within that same period, and that there be no further violations for 4 years, and the caveat about withdrawal should be included. Any questions, Colin?
No, thank you.
Thank you. I think you get an award for the longest one speaking opportunity violation completion. Okay, this is Jordan. You're up with candidates with one prior violation who filed both reports before the hearing. Apparently, there's only one of those.
Yep, I'll be taking us home for the last three little sections.
Okay.
So this is going to be PDC case 173105 against William H. Nelson. Staff is alleging that the respondent violated RCW 42.17a.205 and RCW 42.17a.700 for failing to timely file the personal financial affairs statement and the candidate registration, C1, which were due no later than 2 weeks of becoming a candidate or by May 23rd, 2025. The respondent has filed both reports before the date of today's hearing, and they are not in attendance. They do have one prior, which would be PDC case 95132. Staff is recommending you find a violation of RCW 42.17a.205 and RCW 42.17a.700 against William H. Nelson for failing to timely file the C1 and F1 reports and assess an appropriate penalty in accordance with WAC 390-37143 for a filer with one prior violation who failed to timely file the C1 and F1 reports. The base penalty for this fact pattern would be $300 per report.
And Jordan, was there a memorandum of understanding offered this individual?
Yes.
And what was the amount in that memorandum?
It would have been $200, $100 per report.
Okay. I'm going to find two violations as alleged for failure to file the C1 and F1 reports before the hearing. I'm going to impose a penalty of $600. I'm going to suspend 350 of it on the condition that the unsuspended portion of the penalty be paid within 30 days of the issuance of my order, and that the individual have no further violations during the next 4 years, and with the same caveat about withdrawal.
All right. Thank you so much. So
And
we're going to
do what? Candidates with one prior violation who have not filed either report before today?
Yep. All right. So these are going to be PDC cases 173078, Christina Over, and 173106, John Williams. Staff is alleging these respondents violated RCW 42.17a.205 and RCW 42.17a.700 for failing to file a personal financial affairs statement and the candidate registration, which were due within 2 weeks of becoming a candidate or no later than May 23rd, 2025. Neither of these respondents have filed either of their reports by the day of today's hearing. They each have one prior, and neither of them are participating. Staff is recommending you find a violation of RCW 42.17a.205 and RCW 42.17a.700 against these respondents for failing to file the C1 and F1 reports and assess an appropriate penalty in accordance with WAC 390-37143 for a filer with one prior violation who failed to file the reports by the date of today's hearing. The base penalty for that would be $500 per report. I'm available if you have any questions.
I do have a couple. Did you have any communication with either of these individuals?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. What was the prior violation for each, if you have that handy?
Yeah, I can get that. Are you just looking for what the
Just
violation
was it a failure to file in a similar form, or was it something
Yeah.
different?
Yeah, it's going to be same charges.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Okay, I'm going to find that you have established the violations as alleged for failure to file both a C1 and an F1 before today's hearing for each of these individuals, and that each has a prior violation. I'm going to assess a penalty of $1,000 I'm going to suspend $500 of that if the missing reports are both filed within 30 days of the date of the order, and the $500 penalty is also paid within that time period, and there are no further violations during the next 4 years, with the caveat about withdrawal.
All right, thank you so much. And we have one final person. So this is going to be PDC case 173100, Theron Smith. Staff is alleging that this respondent violated RCW 42.17a.205 and RCW 42.17a.700 for failing to timely file their C1 report within 2 weeks of becoming a candidate or by May 23rd, 2025. The respondent did file the C1 before the date of today's hearing, but they are not here today and they have no prior violations. Staff recommends you find a violation of RCW 42.17a.205 and RCW 42.17a.700 for a filer with no prior violations who failed to timely file the C1 report. In this case, the base penalty for that would be $150. Bill, if you have any questions.
No, I don't. Thank you. I'm going to find a violation as alleged for failure to timely file a C1 report. I'm going to impose a fine of $150. I'm going to suspend $50 of that upon the condition that the fine is paid within 30 days of the date of the order, that there be no further violations within the next 4 years, with the caveat about withdrawal.
All right. Thank you so much. That brings us to the end of our agenda.
Okay, well, the BAP calendar is adjourned, and we can stop the recording at this time. And I'd like to thank you all for your work today.